How to stop obsessing over someone, the awesome power of letting go. Hi guys, my name is Christine Loveridge and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about how to stop obsessing over someone by using the awesome power of letting go. Now, I've made a video recently on how to stop obsessing over someone, where I go into a few tips and my own personal story. That video will be in this video's description, and I'll also have a card here so you can go and view that video. But today we are solely going to be focusing on letting go. Now, first, let's talk about why it's important to let go of your obsessions. Well, first of all, if you are obsessed with someone, this creates resistance and it will eventually cause misery, because even though it feels good to, let's say, check on their social media posts, to look at their stories, we get that instant kind of high. It feels good in the moment, but afterwards you feel bad about it, you feel crappy about it, especially if this is something that you've been trying not to do. So if you've been refraining yourself from looking at their social media, but yet you can't seem to help yourself, that makes you beat yourself up. It makes you feel bad about yourself, basically. Another reason why obsession causes misery, you're giving the person you're obsessing over the power. You're giving them a power over you, because if they post something that you think means something about you, you might like it, it might make you feel good. But then if they post something about perhaps them being with someone else, or they're starting to date someone, or you can tell that they really like someone by their social media posts, then that's going to make you feel miserable. And that's all that it's really ever going to cause you. It's only ever going to cause you misery because you are placing your happiness on what the other person is doing, this person that you're obsessing over. So if you take away that, and if you don't let them have the power over you by not obsessing over them anymore, you are then ultimately free. Because whenever you put your happiness dependent on someone else's actions, they're going to fail. They're going to make you feel miserable. They're going to do something that is going to make you feel sad at some point. The point is that you are dependent on this other person to make you feel good, to make you feel happy. And when you do that and you put that power in their hands, of course there are going to be times, many times perhaps, that they are not going to fulfill your wish for happiness. So letting go causes freedom. So when you put your own happiness on yourself and you're not dependent on other external forces for you to be happy, that's when you will become more at peace with yourself. And that's all what we really want. We just want to be free from suffering and to have peace. So letting go, what are some things that you can do? So obviously if you are checking this person's social media, then you need to remove them from your social media. You need to block them. You need to get rid of those temptations, because if the temptations aren't there, you're not going to do it. You're not going to use it. And if you can't even refrain yourself from, let's say, unblocking them, and you feel you can't trust yourself, then obviously you need to probably get rid of those apps in general. You just need to go completely cold turkey and have some time away from it. Now, what's important to know is that when you get rid of something like this, like a habit of checking their social media, it creates a vacuum, because you may have like a few hours a day where you are checking their social media, or maybe it's like 10 minutes here or there throughout your evening where you're checking to see what they're doing. So if you're doing that, then it creates a vacuum when you stop doing that. So you need to fill that time with something else. So if you were checking social media and you're checking their social media for like 10 minutes, let's say like when you got home from work, or straight away when you go into the lunchroom at work, or at university or college, whatever you're doing with your life, what you need to do in those moments is you need to create time for something else. So you could watch a YouTube video. So if you tend to check what they're doing on social media at your lunch break or on your breaks, you could bring earphones to work, and on your lunch break use those earphones to watch a YouTube video or to read something, do something else, because you need to fill that vacuum with something else. Because if you're just sitting there and you're thinking about them, then you're going to be more tempted to get those apps back and unblock them and see what they're up to. You need to fill that time with something else, because removing the temptation is not enough unless you have something to fill that time with. So something else about obsessions and obsessing over someone. When you're obsessing over someone, Basically what this comes across as to me is someone who lacks self-esteem. Now, if you've watched the other video that I made on how to stop obsessing over someone, you'll know that I used to be like this because I go into my own story. I had problems with my self-esteem, and even now it's still something that I'm working through. It's something that you continually need to kind of work on, especially if you felt insecure and had low self-esteem for a long time. Those things don't just magically go away overnight. They're things that you need to develop and keep on developing, because there might be times in your life where you have really high self-esteem and you have a high self-image of yourself, but then something happens to you that completely blindsides you, and you then have a poor self-image. It could be you go through a tragedy, or you have an accident, or something happens at work that's embarrassing, like you embarrass yourself and now you don't feel comfortable around your work colleagues anymore. It's something that you need to continually work on, because there will be times in your life where you will get a knockback, you'll get a knock to your confidence. Was when my fiance had an accident in her car. For a little while after that, she felt really frightened about driving, and she had to get her confidence back. This is something that you have to continue to work on and develop across your life. And that's okay. That's just a normal part of life. That's just a normal human process. And it's fine to go through that. It's okay to have times where you're feeling unconfident and feel like you need to work on it. And there are times where it's okay, where something happens and you're feeling confident and then suddenly you don't feel confident again. That's just the roller coaster of life. We all have ups, we all have downs. So if you'd like help with your confidence issues, I made a video recently on how to build confidence, so please go and check out that video. I also have an essential playlist, and if you go through that playlist, you'll be able to see some videos on some really big topics I like to talk about, on how to build your self-image and basically how to develop yourself and become more strong mentally, and to basically start living a lifestyle that you desire, that you've always wanted to. Because once you are happy, or at least more content with your life and your circumstances, that is where change starts to happen. Because when people obsess over someone, it comes from this place of lack, and you probably are unfulfilled in not just that area of your life, your romance life, but it could be other areas you're not fulfilled in as well. So it could be the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you feel about your career, the way that you feel about money. It could be, your relationships with your family and with your friends. There could be other areas that you are struggling in, which is also kind of facilitating and helping create these other areas, such as your love life. Because once you start to build confidence, and when you start to live a life that you're actually pleased with, that you are satisfied with, then ultimately it will spread into other areas of your life. So if you feel really confident with your work and with talking to people, you are more likely to be confident with, the opposite sex or the same sex if you are gay or LGBT. When you start building confidence in other areas, it usually helps the other areas as well that you're not feeling confident in. The first thing that you need to do is to obviously get rid of these triggers, these temptations, in order to stop obsessing over someone. But you need to also fill that time with something that is productive, that can help you in some way. Obviously, sometimes what happens with some people, they stop obsessing over one person and then they just jump to a new person to obsess over. You obviously want to avoid that at all costs. So this is why it's probably better to, instead of, finding someone else to obsess over, to do something different in those moments when you would usually be obsessing over them. So anyway, go through that playlist, check out the other video I made on how to stop obsessing over someone, and hopefully those videos will be able to help you, to empower you, and to help in this process of letting go. Now, one thing also that I want to point out is that it's crucial that you don't beat yourself up about it if you regress back into your old habits, because that isn't going to help. If you regress and go back into your old habits, sometimes that all that is just your conditioning, because you've been behaving in this way for so long, you've been obsessing over someone for so long. It's going to take time for you to wean yourself off of it, and you may regress. But it's important not to beat yourself up about it. Once you realize what you're doing and you become self-aware, stop yourself. If you find yourself downloading that app or unblocking that person, stop yourself. And then just go back to what I suggested, which is filling that time with something else. Because sometimes when you've had an obsession for a long time and it has become more like an addiction, you do need to take every day as they come, and sometimes every moment as it comes. So don't beat yourself up about it, okay? Just realize that this is just part of your old conditioning and you are now wanting a new, different habit, and just get yourself back on the horse, basically. Anyway, I hope this was coherent enough. I hope it made sense. Please go to www.christineloveridge.com/shop to get coaching with me. Or alternatively, just send me a quick email using the email address provided in this video description box. If you would like me to discuss something in a future video, then please leave it in the comments, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.